Hello everybody, this is Renal from Financially Fit Life. And if you think about South Africa and the financial situation we have in South Africa, then you will find that the stats show that South Africans do not have a savings culture or savings mindset. And that could be because debt is so easily available. People do not have to save up if they want something. They can get some form of debt to get that whatever they want, and they do not really need to save up for it. And the stats show that South Africans only save about 15.4% of our GDP, as opposed to other countries like India and China, who save 30% and 50% respectively of their GDPs, and they actually earn less than what we as South Africans earn. So again, it does show you that there is not that mindset that we need to save. But on the other hand, I always get questions from people where they say, but I would like to save, but I do not really know how to save and where to save, what are the options available out there. And that boils back to a lack of financial knowledge. People do not always know what's available out there and what's best suited for them. But there, I want to encourage you that if that applies to you, equip yourself with that knowledge so that you can understand what are the options out there and what suits you best for your situation and your profile. And also remember, with savings, a lot of people would always say to me, but I don't have enough money to save or to invest. With savings and investments, there's no minimum requirement. You can start with a small amount by putting away a very small amount on a monthly basis and let that savings grow and build up. Now, obviously, certain investment types have minimum requirements before you can invest in that certain product or fund. But that is perfectly okay because, like I said, there are lots of other investments available out there that you can actually start off with small savings amounts and build up until you are in a position where you can transfer your funds into another investment or a fund that has that minimum requirement. So start off by saving and investing a small amount. You don't need thousands to start saving. And then also start experimenting. Try to find out what investments will work for you. There are so many different options out there, and what might work for your partner or your friend or your colleague might not work for you, because it all goes back to what your risk profile is and what excites you and what do you like and what don't you like and what do you feel comfortable with and what don't you feel comfortable with. So start experimenting by just putting a small amount into a different investment type and start seeing how that investment is performing and learning about that investment, what's good about it, what's bad about it, and that information will help you to become more knowledgeable and to make better decisions going forward. Because sometimes if it does happen that you do lose a bit of money, you at least didn't lose a lot of money, and it will help you again to next time not make that same mistake, because you will have that knowledge and that experience now to make better decisions going forward. Now, I always say in terms of what are the options out there, a lot of people start off by having just a call account, or maybe some like a money market or something. But if you just start out with your savings and investments journey, it's always a good option to first look at the cash type of investments, like your notice deposits, your fixed deposits, and first try to experiment with those, because they are low risk type of investments. Your money is relatively guaranteed, so you cannot really lose money, but those are very good options to just start out with and build up your funds in those, because they usually don't have a minimum investment requirement, or they have very low requirements, so you will be able to reach it. Then there's also your tax-free savings accounts. Now, those are excellent accounts to include in your investment portfolio so that you can benefit from those tax savings. And that is always something that I would advise to people to add it somewhere in your investment portfolio, especially if you just start out. Then there's also unit trusts. Unit trusts are one of my personal favorite investment options, and the reason being that with unit trusts there are just so many options available and out there, and you can really experiment with it, and you can get all different kinds of exposure within that fund depending on what fund you have. But you can literally go from selecting low risk unit trusts to medium risk to high risk. There's really so many options out there. Unit trusts are also not that complicated, so it's easy to understand and to get into and to make good money. Then obviously when you are becoming a bit more aggressive, or when you are becoming a bit more knowledgeable and you are feeling more comfortable with taking on higher risk because you want to earn better returns, but you know you can also lose money, but you have money saved up and you feel comfortable with putting away some money with to a certain extent of risk, and then you can always invest in shares. Shares have made lots of money for a lot of people out there, but obviously with shares you need to know what's going on. You need to understand financial markets in terms of when to buy and when to sell. So more complicated, higher risk, but definitely something that you can get into your investment portfolio when you feel comfortable with it, and something that I would always advise to people to include in their investment portfolio as soon as they are ready to take that step, and also once they have weighed up all the pros and the cons and they have done proper research. Still, properties still one of my personal favorite investment options, and I think if you look over the longer term, properties are still one of the investment types that performed the best over the longer term. So when you are in that situation and you can afford it and you have done your calculations and your research, definitely consider adding properties to your investment portfolio. So there were just a couple of options that you can look at. There's obviously a lot more that we will deal with on a later stage, but for now, start saving, start putting away your money, start building up that investment portfolio, because that's the only way you are going to create wealth for yourself. By just keeping your money in your bank account or in a call account, it's not going to benefit you optimally over the longer term. So start experimenting, doing your research, and start investing today.